Hi, everybody. We have
Well,
Andy and me, Nicole. Welcome to Alien UK. Andy's making me do all the work in the beginning.
Yes, about time.
Today we have a really awesome guest joining us, Jim Goodall. So he would not be where he is today in the field of spooky programs if our government had given him what he wanted in 1968. He would have remained happy and his name never would have been associated with Area 51, the Blackbirds, the F-117, or Skunk Works. So we're going to bring him on and we're going to talk about some like black budget projects.
Yes, and the TR-38, I think the TR-38, TR-3B, and just loads of different aircraft. But before we play the intro, please do check out my other YouTube channel of when me and Becky went car camping, because it's just madness. So check that out. I'll put the link up in a while. So see you in just over a minute. Bye for now.
Welcome to Alien UK with your hosts, Andy and Nicole. Super Chat and Super Stickers are now active.
Let's go.
Hello. We are back.
Greetings from the colonies.
Greetings. Thank you for joining us again. I know how busy you're being, and you
have no idea. I have I'm like a one-armed paper hanger, putting up wallpaper. It's just and it never seems to slow down.
No,
I've been fully retired now for 13 years, and I run out of time every day to do some of the stupid stuff I do, and I have a lot of projects that have nothing to do with aviation or UFOs that have been just keeping me jumping all over the place. So, but I'm delighted. I'm
productive.
Yeah, well, if you sit around, you rust, and if you rust, you die. So many people that I've known in my life, primarily my parents, friends, they had a real high pressure, high intense job, whatever, whether they're engineer or management or in sales, whatever. They finally retire. 18 months later, they die. I don't know if it's boredom or their body, just because they quit moving, they quit doing things, and all of a sudden, rust and rigor mortis sets in, and it's like little Bugs Bunny goes dip dip dip. That's all, folks, and off. That's the end. And I decided not to. I turned 80 this year. I don't feel it. I don't act it.
You don't look it.
I have a lot of people are surprised how old I am, and if they look at all the scars on my body, then they'd know that, well, you've been through a hell of a lot. but I enjoy life, and I really love this environment we're on right now. Things that go bump in the night. I don't make friends very easily. I've been in Tucson. Was about going on 13 years. And the one really close friend I had decided to die on me. And I know a lot of people here, but I don't have anybody I hang with because I have real specific, not needs, but energy that has to come from that person for me to want to hang with them. But I have very, very dear friends, but they're scattered all over this country. I have a couple in Europe, and I have one in Perth, Australia. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So, and I did have a very dear friend who I visited multiple times in Little Bay in Eastern Australia, in a suburb of Sydney. And
Yeah.
I tried getting hold of him, and number doesn't work. Emails bounce back. So he's no longer with us. And that's.
Did you Google him?
Pardon?
Did you Google him?
Yes. And I have my friend, which is Mr. B there in Perth. He said, well, I can help you look for him if he's from Australia. I said, well, he's lived there for the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And his wife had a very high position within one of the publicly held companies. And nothing came back. So I just assumed. I know he was going to retire, get a 100-foot sailboat and go around the world, and that he may be doing that for all I know. But I sure in the heck wouldn't do it without a satellite phone.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So, but most of my friends were older than me that I became close to, and I hit 80. And I look around. I was going through the list of Blackbird pilots that I've known and talked to over the years. They're all gone, but 3 or 4 are still around. I mean, the program ended in 1990. That was 35 years ago, and they were all in their 50s. Yeah. Most of them are all in their 50s. So you had 35 years to that. That makes them into high 80s, low 90s.
Yeah.
And
The year I was born.
He's just a baby. Yeah. I mean, but, I don't even fit in the category of being a boomer or anything else, or the greatest generation, because I was born in March of 45. It was still in the war. And Generation X or whatever, I guess the baby boomers didn't start till 1946. So I'm sort of an anomaly. I'm in that twilight zone. I go, woo.
In limbo between the two.
And I know some of my friends, know that I'm from outer space anyway, so it's okay.
That's it. That's all that matters. As long as they know and you know, that's it. It's all good. Right. So I've got the first question for you.
Sure.
Because I know when this started happening, you was like on TV and podcasts and radio and all different media networks. So when these drones came over to like New York, New Jersey, and all that, what was your initial thought of what was going on, and has it changed to how you think and feel about it now?
Well, there were a number of things that happened that week. They lost track of a very, very large shipment of medical radioactive materials.
Yeah.
I mean, dirty bomb making type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I believe that they were massively trying to track this thing down. There are sensors on our freeways, and I didn't know this, and this goes back a number of years ago. A friend of mine who lives in New Jersey went to his doctor's in New York City, and they implanted what they call gamettides. They're radioactive seeds they put in primarily when men have problems with their prostate.
Yeah.
And they're tiny. They're smaller than a grain of rice. And he's going down the New Jersey tollway, and all of a sudden he's surrounded by armed state police, some military, other guys in plain clothes. I mean, they had their guns drawn. They pulled them out. They went through his whole car and they said, "What's happening?" He says, "We've detected that you're moving some highly radioactive materials in your vehicle." He stopped for a second and said, "No, the radioactive material you're looking for is in my prostate." I said, "What?" I said, "I just got back from my doctor's," and they just
Wow.
Yeah. So I believe first of all the drones most of them were flying through a lot of restricted airspace without being shot down. That means they were ours. They were authorized by the federal government. And I think they were drastically, looking for that radioactive material that had disappeared, whether it was misshipped or sent somewhere it wasn't supposed to, or it was hijacked. They weren't going to let that slide by. So that's why there was that activity. And they were concentrated in areas that they knew it was traveling to and from.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. I'm sure you in the UK can experience that. Sometimes you just want to slap the snot out of your federal government because they do stupid stuff.
Well, they did stupid stuff before they got into power, and they're carrying on doing it as well. So
yeah. So that is my explanation, and I have enough people that I'm familiar with, and I know that operate in the dark world that they felt the same way. But they were all ours, and we were all out. And some of the drones were big drones.
Yeah.
Because they were carrying some big equipment to look for this radioactive material.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who have seen them, and they said that they're very quiet. You wouldn't notice them until you see them.
Yeah. So I if it had been something serious, and if they were going to start bombing, having bombs on them, like Russia and Ukraine are going back and forth with their drones.
Wow. Yeah.
Then we'd say, hey, I know what the problem was, but it would have lasted a week or 10 days, and then you never heard anything about it after that.
Yeah, that was a weird thing, because I did read that it was like looking for the dirty bombs material, this cargo that had gone missing. And out of everything I'd read and heard, for me, that was the only thing that made any sense as to what was going on.
Yeah, and that's what it is. That made sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
but why would they not say that?
Well, that's it. I'm not even big on all this, like the chemical side to it and all that. But logically, nothing else that was in the media was making any sense whatsoever other than that.
You mean the fake media?
Well,
there isn't anything that comes out of the mouth of any of the talking heads on national TV, regional TV, or local TV. The only thing I watch on the news channel is I watch the local weather.
Yeah.
And even though they're wrong 50% of the time, they're 100% more right on,
entertaining
than the talking heads. Yeah. The news readers, as you guys call them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But wouldn't our government tell us that it was theirs? Because everybody was speculating and everybody was freaking out that it was some kind of attack. Why wouldn't they just say, hey, we're conducting tests, or we're, running trials?
Because I can't use profanity when I talk about our government.
You can.
Say what you want.
Yeah. The dumb shits. They don't have a clue. One of the things that having information that you hold close to your chest and you're not going to tell anybody is a form of power.
Yeah, knowledge.
I know and you don't. I'm one of the special people. Well, no, you're not.
That's your special salute, right?
Yeah. So I use. Here in Arizona. It's a constitutional carry state.
Yeah.
You can, and I don't go anywhere without a 357 Magnum in my car.
Wow.
Or on my person. I'm only 100 miles from the border. Actually,
right.
I'm 61 miles from the border because it's 100 kilometers from downtown Tucson to Nogales at the border. And you don't know when you're going to have some jackass going to try to carjack you. And I drive a it's not a new one, but I drive a 2010 Grand Sport Corvette.
Yeah. And
it would be a good target.
Yeah.
They see an old white guy, with white hair. He's an easy mark. But Smith and Weston says no, he's not a good mark.
Yeah.
I have never pulled it on anybody, but I've had my hand on it when I had it in a shoulder holster. This is when I was up in Seattle.
Yeah.
I had some kids try to run me off the road at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're driving their dad's restored 57 Ford pickup truck. And I knew the area, and it was a double turn, and they said I'd cut them off. And they followed me everywhere. I finally went down a street that I know was a dead end, and I circled around and blocked their car. I got out of the car with my gun. They couldn't see, they can only see me from here up, but I was outside with my gun. Because some gangbangers and some kids had shot some guy not more than a half a mile from where these guys started chasing me. Unprovoked, shot him with his wife with their brand new baby in his car, and he was able to get over the side of the road before he died. So you don't go driving around harassing, especially white-haired old guys in a nice-looking car, because I can afford a gun. And and I told him, I said,
harass people on the road anyway.
I know. I told him, I said, I'm gonna pull my car back, and if you don't take a right at the end of this block and you be gone, I'm coming after you, and your parents aren't gonna like having a funeral. You better get the hell out of here.
Wow.
And I was literally shaking. So I got to my house. I called 911. This is before cell phones. I called 911, gave a description of the car, of the vehicle, pick up the license number and a description of the two kids. And they said, they're going to get shot. I said, I actually had my weapon out. They did not see it. I did not indicate I had it. And I had a concealed weapons permit for the state of Washington at the time. And I said, this is crazy. And you see some of these, I don't know, the world is going insane, and it's getting 1,000 times worse. This is back in the early 90s when I had this event. It's gotten 1,000 times worse over the last 35 years. And it doesn't seem like there's any consequences for these idiots out there. But that's something we don't need to talk about. We got to talk about things that we can't explain, like UFOs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And spooky airplanes out of Area 51. So what's your next question, since we beat the tar out of that one?
So I've been watching actually Black Files Declassified, and they talk a lot about these like black budget programs and the aircraft that the government is working on. How much of our UFOs do you think can be attributed to like secret military programs? 90 to 95%.
And that's for a guy who has been to worked at Area 51, worked at Dugway, worked at a few other locations he wouldn't tell me about.
Yeah.
So if there's any external lights, it has a red light and a green light on it. That's required by the FAA. Now, aliens don't give a squat what the FAA says. If they want to, fly through our airspace, they'll give us the bird.
Yeah.
So 90 to 95% is what is being said within the spooky UFO and black programs community. Yeah. I mean, not those of us who are fans, but those of them that work, build or maintain or fly those craft.
It's funny because I put into ChatGPT, I asked that ChatGPT the same question, like, what is the mathematical probability that the UFOs that people are seeing are man-made? And it said 6.5%. So you're pretty much spot on with ChatGPT's answer.
Yeah, well, good. At least the computer knows that I have some brain cells that work. I mean, back in the early 70s, there was a paper book that came out, a paperback about this thick, came out called Wild Card. It was by 2 British authors. And it was about a fake alien saucer crash in Los Angeles. And they decided to take the Compton Watts area as the place for this thing to crash. It's all Black or Hispanic area there. A lot of really rundown places. So if they blew up a house or smashed a house up that was vacant, the neighborhood wouldn't be in an uproar. And over the course of the book, they go to Aberdeen Proving Grounds, and they developed metallurgical pieces, metal, that didn't conform to anything that we have, in our standard dictionary of, how do you analyze this piece of metal? Where did it come from? But what they needed to do, they wanted the entire world to be in a panic against an invasion from an alien being in a UFO, to bring Lala. Hi Lala, love you. You're looking good, by the way. Congratulations on losing the weight. Yeah, I have a thing about weight. I went from 375 to 187 today. So I literally lost half my weight, but that's another story.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I looked like the Hindenburg with legs. I mean, it was terrible. This is 2005. I came out of the shower and I glanced over at the full-length mirror, and I was disgusted. And I went on a diet that day, and I lost 115 pounds in 5 months. And then my doctor got really mad at me, and he said, "You lost way too much weight, and I don't want you losing more for a decade." So I didn't. And then COVID hit, and I got bored with eating, and I lost the rest. Everybody else I know gained over the lockdown.
There's nothing to do.
That's me.
I lost 80 pounds over the between 2020 and.
Well,
and
I can guarantee I found your 80 pound and somebody else's.
Oh yeah. When I have nothing to do with UFOs, but as far as the weight gain, one of my ex-wives who took me to the cleaners, her son got married on a beachfront in Edmonds, Washington, on Puget Sound here 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And he sent me. My stepdaughter, my former stepdaughter, had sent me the link, and I'm looking to see if I can see my ex. Now she's 5'1". When I left her, she was 115 pounds, and I see this one dumpy guy in a blue seersucker suit that was too small, white socks, tennis runners, and a Panama hat, and he's standing next to this woman with frizzy white hair in a moonwalk. Trying to figure who that was. So I wasn't paying attention to her, but I'm looking to see. She looked like a cross between Goldie Hawn and Marilyn Monroe when I was married to her.
Yeah.
And then she walks in front of the video camera. I look, that woman that was that big, the 80 pounds I lost, she found. She got everything else of mine. She might, you look better. That was, you adjusted the color. Yeah. So, but it's, if you put your mind to something, you can get it done. But okay, where are we going now? I can get
anyway.
I don't know. I want to know how you lost all that weight. Was it just like diet and exercise?
I just quit eating junk food. And my son had gone through a divorce, and he's built like his dad. I mean, he was up to 270, and he's 49. And I went back to Minnesota. I was inducted into the Minnesota Aviation Hall of Fame this last April. I'm the 7th Minnesota Air National Guard person to be inducted into the Minnesota Aviation Hall of Fame. Charles Lindbergh is in that organization. I mean, he's from Minnesota. And 6 of the former members, this is over the last 40 years, 6 of the former Minnesota Air Guard members that were inducted into the Minnesota Aviation Hall of Fame are all general officers, except for me. I retired as a master sergeant. And when we were up there were 7 of us up on the stage on the induction. I was the only one that didn't have a pilot's license, even though I've flown the B-2 simulator, the 777 simulator, and C-130 simulators. I don't have a pilot's license. People say, well, you love airplanes. How come you don't have one? I said, when I had the money, I didn't have the time. And when I had the time, I didn't have the money. So strictly economics, not desire. But I was up there with an astronaut. I was up there with some incredible people and me. And it was an incredible honor, and it blew me away. But I was the only one up on the stage that didn't have a pilot's license also. But it is what it is.
Yeah, well done anyway. It's doesn't matter what you've got, you was there, and that's what counts.
That's right.
Definitely.
And we were talking about UFOs. Can you prove them? I personally can't, but I've interviewed people who swear by them, and I don't know if when I was in your program last time, if I talked about some of the reasons why I believe Bob Lazar. But, by the way, Bob Lazar, I knew him before he went to work out in the desert, and you couldn't put a gun to his head to convince him that UFOs were real. And one of the biggest, I guess, evidence that he is real. I mean, he is. I have no question about it. Is during Desert Shield and Desert Storm, I was in the Pentagon, my Air Force specialty code. I was a historian. So I record history, and that's what I do for fun also, my books. So I would read every single message going to and from CENTCOM. And I had eyes only stuff I could read all the way down to unclassified, but restricted. And I had, that's what I did every morning. I would go out to the press room and tell them what was happening in Southeast Asia. And we had a down day. At the time I was an E6. I was a tech sergeant. I hadn't made master yet. But I had in my back pocket Bob Lazar's W-2 from when he worked at S4. And it was the Department of the Navy. And the Navy controls and manages all super secret black programs, whether they're Air Force programs or just DOD or CIA or whatever. The Navy is the management agency for those spooky programs. So there was something happening in Iraq and Kuwait at the time. And it was just, I don't know if it was a stand down, it was just a quiet day. So I had a lot of free time, and I'm on the Pentagon computer. I'm trying to find where Bob Lazar was paid from, what department of the Navy, because the Department of the Navy that was on his W-2 doesn't show up anywhere. But I was also told there are 5 zip codes at the Pentagon. They go to places they won't tell you where it's at.
Oh.
So I had one of them could be Area 51. I mean, it could be a zip code that if you're contacting the Department of Defense or Department of the Navy, you could use that. It doesn't go direct. It doesn't say, welcome to Area 51. How may I help you? So I had, so I'm in uniform. I have, being as I was in active duty for 5 years, I had a 10-year break, and I was in the Air Guard. I had a lot of ribbons for a tech sergeant, and I was an aviation crew member in active duty, just for a short time. And I said, well, I gotta find out where this place is at. So I decided to go to Naval Investigative Services. I believe this is 35 years ago, so I have a good memory, but it's not that good at age 80. And I walk into, door was open. There's a young Lieutenant JG sit behind the desk. And I say, sir, where can I locate this Department of the Navy? And Big Red, thank you. And I set down showed him the W-2. He said, excuse me for a minute, Sergeant. He gets up, he goes into the 2-star Admiral's office. He's in there about 15 seconds. He comes out, he says, the Admiral will see you now. Now, those of you who have been in the military or have friends that have been in the military, no Navy Admiral is out of the blue is going to want to talk to an enlisted puke. That's how they look at us, especially enlisted puke with the Air National Guard. And so I walk in there, I give him a sharp salute, and he's holding Bob's W-2. And normally they say at ease. He said parade rest, so I'm sitting there at parade rest. And he said, Sergeant, I don't know where you got this, but if you ever cross the threshold of my doorway ever again, you'll be the most sorriest son of a bitch in NCO in the United States military. Do you understand me, Sergeant? I said, yes, sir. With that, he took Bob's W-2, put it into the shredder, and with an angry look and tone, he said, you're dismissed. I gave him a sharp salute. I did a about face, and I walked out and said, whoa.
Wow.
I think I hit a hot button.
I would say so.
Yeah. While I was in the Pentagon, reading absolutely every message coming to and from anything that Schwarzkopf saw, I saw. And the most incredible message I ever saw came from Margaret Thatcher when she was prime minister. And it was to all members, the president, vice president, his cabinet, and all members of Congress and assorted federal agencies. It wasn't classified. And I really wanted to copy it, but I couldn't. I just, I'm maintaining, secret stuff where I was, in the vault that I was in, and there's no way that in the world that I would, violate that. But in the telegram, or however it was transmitted to Saddam Hussein, they said, President Saddam Hussein, #1 Main Street, Baghdad. And it stated, if for any reason you use chemical, biological, or nuclear agents on the coalition forces or your own people, period, and that was spelled out, the United Kingdom will launch a full-fledged nuclear strike on Baghdad within 24 hours, period. Signed, Margaret Thatcher, Prime Minister, with full concurrence of Parliament. And I get goosebumps just reading about it. That's one of the reasons that he didn't try using chemical agents on our guys or people. He didn't have any nuclear stuff. Or didn't have any nerve gas. The idiots gave him 6 weeks when they said, "Oh, we're going to invade you." Gave him 6 weeks to move all that stuff to Syria. But that's just my opinion. But it was. He didn't dare do anything. And one of the things I look for every single morning, I got every single aircraft that was involved in reconnaissance, spying, bombing, strafing, whatever, was listed every morning by aircraft type, serial number, and call sign. And I'm looking for UFO number 3721. I didn't see anything. I was so disappointed because I was seeing everything. At least that was my assumption. I was seeing everything because I was seeing everything that Schwarzkopf could see, and it didn't show up. So there weren't any UFO sightings that I'm aware of in the during Desert Shield or Desert Storm in the Middle East. But that doesn't take away what Neil Armstrong's son said about his dad. And he said, when they first landed on the moon, Apollo 11 landed on the moon, and they exited the lander, they were being observed. This is per the son of Neil Armstrong. He said they were very large. They had equipment that looked far superior to us. And I think it's one of the reasons we didn't go back, because they didn't want us back. I had, when I was working for the Museum of Flight, I was a restoration manager, working on a British jet. I was working on the first Comet Mach 4C built by de Havilland, and it was purchased by Mexican Airlines, and it was abandoned at Payne Field up in Everett, Washington. That's where the Boeing wide body production facility is. And the fire department used it for fire training. They didn't set it on fire, but they'd throw a smoke grenade in and then open the windows and hose everything down. So the airplane had about 3,000 gallons of water inside of it, sealed up for a decade. It was its own environment in there. And I worked for 10 full years, full time, with as many as a total of about 80 volunteers, and they were all great in restoring that airplane. And I'm very proud of that part. But my boss called me. The restoration manager called me, and he said, Tommy, said, hey, are you at Payne Field? I said, yeah. I said, do me a favor. I can't make a luncheon today. And I've called them and I've given your name. Could you go to Future of Flight and represent the Museum of Flight? I said, sure. It's just the other side of Payne Field. So I get over there at the appropriate time, and I sit down at the table, and they had my name. I didn't realize. I didn't look at the guy next to me, who had just sat down, and I'm just looking around. I turn around and I looked straight at this guy, and I said, "Hi, my name is Buzz." And he said, "Buzz, we all know who you are. I'm Jim Goodall." It was Buzz Aldrin.
Oh.
And I said, do you believe in UFOs? And he got this funny smirk on his face, and he just turned his back on me for about, I think, to get composure and come back, and didn't say a word. His eyes got really big, and that's all he did. So, are they real? Yeah, they're real. Dave Fruhoff, it was an SR-71 pilot. He was a friend of mine. I knew him when he was flying the Blackbird. I kept track of him when he retired. And in my dad was still alive, so this had to be in the mid to early 90s. I'm in Tullahoma, Tennessee. My dad was director of engineering for one of the new wind tunnels they were building there at Tullahoma. And my friend Dave Fruhoff, SR-71 pilot, lived in Lynchburg, Tennessee, which is only 11 miles away. It's also the home of Jack Daniels, if you're a drinker. So I called up Dave. And I said, "Hey, you busy?" I said, "No." I said, "Well, come over and give me shoot the shit." He said, "Come on down." So I drive over there, and we're talking about one of the reasons I wanted to talk to him, he had to bail out of one of the SR-71 trainers, 957, when it had a total electrical failure over Montana. And it was the only time there ever had been a total electric failure off of both engines. The generators went out. So they're operating on battery, and they can only talk on the intercom between the pilot and the reconnaissance systems operator. And in this case, it was an SR-71B, the instructor pilot. So Dave is going through all he pulled out the flight manual, going in through all the emergency procedures. And it basically said, as long as you're straight and level, the fuel will by gravity flow into the sump, and the engines will literally suck it out of the sump with no pump needed. So they had to land at a Strategic Air Command Base, SAC is what we called it. But there was Francis E. Warren was in Wyoming, was snowed in. Same with the Maelstrom up in Montana, and same with the one near Spokane. So they decided they were going to go all the way back to Beale, and everything is flying okay. They went as soon as they lost all electrical power, they went subsonic. Anyway, just there's no way you can fly a Blackbird by hand at Mach 3. So as they're coming in, everything's fine and dandy. They put the gear down. It's a Delta type air. It's a double Delta. The nose goes up. The sump emptied out. They had a dual flame out. And the order was eject, eject, eject. And boom, they both went out. The airplane flipped upside down, twirled down, and crashed. So that's what I wanted to interview him about. And he didn't get hurt. And the other pilot didn't get hurt, but they lost one of their 2 trainers. So so where we're talking, and I looked at him because after he'd gone to work for, I can't remember the name of it now, but it's a place in Mojave where they were getting Canadian F-86 Sabres, and they were modifying them for photo chase and dissimilar air combat back in the day. So he was a facility manager at Area 51 for 5 years after he retired. So I asked him, hey, Dave, said, do you believe in UFOs? And I was half expecting to say, no, I can't talk about that. He said, sure. Excuse me. I said, well, let me hear it. He said, the time frame was late 72, early 73, somewhere in there. He's on a night mission. They didn't fly a lot of night missions, but he was flying a night mission. And he's at 78,000 feet. He's at Mach 2.7, which is a good cruise number to get to where you're going, and it doesn't overstress thermally the systems on the airplane. So you usually fly at under Mach 3 to just before you're ready to go over target, and then you go full burner. You go up in altitude to above 80,000 feet, and at least Mach 3, preferably 3.2. And they're heading. I think they're heading due east from where they were. And it's a 3/4 moon off the left-hand side of the airplane. And Dave is looking around. You don't have a lot of time to be a tourist and look, do a looky-loo around the sky, because moving through the air at over 3,000 feet per second, when you have an oh shit, it happens really fast. So he sees a glint off of something reflective. He didn't say it was metallic, but it was something reflective. So it had to be a shiny, polished surface. There were no sharp edges, but it wasn't a round sphere, because he was getting multiple glints off of different parts of whatever this craft was. And this thing was 5 or 6 miles off to his right and 5,000 or 6,000 feet above him. So he calls Kadena on secure voice. That's where he was flying out of, Kadena, Okinawa. And he gets hold of the command post and said, do we have another bird up? He said, no, you're there by yourself. I said, let me go take a closer look. So he wanted to, excuse me, he wanted to open up his visor, but he didn't dare do it because Murphy's Law says you're going to do something like that, you're going to all of a sudden you're going to have something blow out on the canopy, and you're going to be, you're going to be toast. The suit will protect you if you eject or have to leave the airplane. So he was fearful of opening the visor, but he was trying to see. There's a lot of stars up there at 80,000 feet, and the object would block out those stars, so he could probably get a shape. So as he's about a 10-degree bank, as he's climbing and he's heading towards the UFO, when he was about still well over 1,000 feet below it, and at least a mile away, this thing took off at about a 30-degree angle of attack. And he said he lost track of it going between, he figured about 8,000 miles an hour, but he lost track of it going between 180 and 200,000 feet in altitude. Now, this is 1970, 72, 73 time frame. So he retires in 78 or 79. He gets a job with Flight Systems out of Mojave. I remembered the name now. On the F-86 purchases from Canada and modification, a bunch of other stuff. And then he gets an opportunity because of his clearance. He gets his opportunity to be the facility manager at Area 51, and that's what I really wanted to talk to him about. And he did photo chase for F-117, for Have Blue, and for whatever else, and Tacit Blue, because he worked. He was responsible for all non-program aircraft. And I asked him, did you ever see anything at Area 51? And he said, no. I said, did you ever ask? And he said, once things started popping, and this is before Bob Lazar, that is. People recall hearing the name Lazar, and some guys that flew back and forth from McCarran to Area 51 on the Janet flights said that they believed they saw him, and Dave said he saw stuff that was unloaded out of a C-5 or a C-17 destined for a place called S4, and it would be loaded onto vehicles and disappear somewhere. I mean, it would go out and about. The other thing, as far as validating the reality of Bob and our UFOs real, and I'm talking about alien UFOs, not man-made.
Yeah.
They were, Bob said they was the southwest corner of the Papoose Range, which is the backdrop for Area 51. He said there were a hangar complex that was pretty much camouflaged where you could walk right up to it and not see it, not realize it. And he was, my buddy was on the F-117 program. So this was about the same time frame that Dave Fruhoff was there. And he had, they had an F-117 crash on takeoff. It was it was the first production airplane, not the pre-production aircraft. And Jim Ridenour was the pilot. Almost killed himself. The thing cartwheeled because the airplane it's a fly-by-wire airplane. There's no mechanical controls linked into the controls. The computer runs it. And when they were doing a modification on the airplane, or when they installed it, if you're not in the air and you move your stick, the rudders and control surfaces move the appropriate way. But when the landing gear is fully extended, the computer flies the airplane the way it feels it should be flown. And they had reversed the pitch and yaw. So when you had pitch, you had yaw. And when you had yaw, you had pitch. And he went up and literally cartwheeled down, came up upside down, and then ended up landing on its belly with the engine still running. Bob has the wherewithal to shut off the two General Electric F-404s, and a crash crew is right there. They blow the canopy, which was partially crushed, but they got it off, and the instrument panel has been crushed into his legs. And one of the firemen grabbed his helmet, and tossed it, and he said, "You go get that helmet and put it in a bag or something. That's $700 or $800 helmet. I'm not going to have you." I mean, here's a guy. The airplane's on fire. He's trapped in the airplane. He said, "Well, we may have to cut your legs off." He said, "No, I'd much rather die in the fire." So they're working like the Dickens to try to get him out. They finally get him out. Yeah. And there used to be a TV program here in the States called The $6 Million Man. So Bob Ridenour is really the $6 Million Man, because that's how much money they spent putting him back together. And I met him briefly on his last day at the Skunk Works. I was at the gift shop, and he came in. He knew I was there.
Yeah.
And I just told him what a delight to meet him. So, stuff like that happens. So my buddy everything is slow because of that crash. They're not doing anything. Kelly knew exactly what the problem was because they lost a Blackbird the same way. Bill Bach lost airframe 939 on takeoff. Went up and he crashed the airplane. I think my dog's trying to get in my room. Yeah.
Oh.
1 second, I gotta let her. She's
Yeah.
she's a rescue.
Okay.
We love dogs.
Yes. Well, Jimmy's gone. Or the other side room. I'm at the Cryptid Conference down in Somerset this weekend. So Saturday night, Michael Kopf is going to be interviewed. I'm going to be doing some random live streams while I'm there, driving down there and
From
driving
the time
back.
she was born until she was picked up, 14 months, she was wandering the streets of Phoenix where it can get 120 degrees. And she doesn't mind to do it. She doesn't mind anybody or anything. But except for one word, treatsies.
You've set her up now.
Oh yeah. No, she's
I get him to give her some.
yeah. Oh, I always do. Yeah, I'm the treatsy guy. So it is what it is. So my buddy, he has his military ID security badge is good for all of Area 51 and everywhere else in the Nevada test site. Because he may have to recover something if it landed on a road or whatever, like they did with, Blue was trying to land on a road and Ken Dyson punched out instead. But there was three guys. It was three of them. They had a Humvee. They're just driving around. They're looking for artifacts, stuff from when it was during the time that area was mined.
Yeah.
And they're on Papoose Lake. They're looking for bottles and really old bottles and whatever that may have been discarded. And all of a sudden, appearing out of nowhere with no vehicle, were about a half a dozen guys in black utilities, all armed with M16s.
Oh,
what are you doing here? Let me see some identification. So they hand them their security badges. You don't belong here. You get the hell out and don't come back. You have no business being on this side of the mountain. Well, that's not a very rude rude comment to make. Mm-hmm. So he didn't think anything of it. That's where S4 is located, and those guys came out of somewhere, and there was no vehicle anywhere to be found as they left. And they didn't appear out of, they didn't just materialize. What's yours or mine? I don't hear very well. I think she's.
My dog's barking downstairs.
Oh, okay, that's all right. Yeah. So they didn't, it didn't sink in, and to further secure that, that there's something there. There was a Mormon missionary historian was tracking the trail of the Lost Mormon tribe, and it goes through Area 51, at least the south part of it. And he was trying to get permission from the federal government to walk through that area to see if he can identify campsites or whatever. And they said absolutely not. So he decided he was going to come in from the other side. So he had someone drop him off on the Mercury side, on the west side of the Nevada test site. And at night, he worked his way into and across the Yucca Flats and Jackass Flats. And he found an overhang where he could be protected from helicopters flying over with infrared sensors looking for people, but just out of sight. And he did most of his walking at night because it's a lot cooler. It doesn't get hot. I mean, really hot. I live in it, so I know. And he was, I think he got up to take a pee break. It's the middle of the night, and he was. This is sort of his campsite operations center, because he'll go out at night and come back, but he's, he got up to go. He woke up to go to the bathroom, and he's now back in his overhang, and he's looking towards Papoose, the Papoose Range, and it was like someone was opening a garage door. All of a sudden, a light just started to appear. There's that. We couldn't see what was happening other than it was a bright light.
Yeah.
And then the thing went down. Next morning, when he woke up, he knew exactly what the direction he was looking at. He got his binoculars out and looked, and there was nothing there. There was no door. It was just the side of the mountain ending up on Papoose Lake. So those items right there are enough to say, they're real. They're real.
I have a question about Area 51.
Sure.
So when you Google Jim Goodall, it says Jim Goodall says there are things at Area 51 he can't talk about until 2025. Have you seen this?
Oh yeah, I said, Jack Gordon told me at a Blackbird reunion. It had to be still in the 90s.
1995.
Yeah, but I was at a Blackbird reunion, and I was talking to Jack Gordon, and he said to the audience that we have things out in the desert I can't talk about, but in about 25 years they'll be made visible or available. Mm-hmm. So it was the president. It was the president of the Lockheed Skunk Works made that statement, and I made it on a. I don't know. It was one of the many TV programs, not podcasts, but TV program goes on in the 80s and 90s. This is before podcasts. Now the networks don't want to talk to me because when I'm old, and so is my information. But so I'm on programs like this. We're the new media today. You guys are.
Yeah, the real. What's really going on?
The legacy media is dead, and if Robert Kennedy Jr. gets his way, they're going to ban pharmaceutical ads on television, which will literally gut the fake news media business. I mean, that's where most of the revenue comes from is pharmaceuticals companies. Yep. And they really control both here and I'm sure in the UK, they control an awful lot of the members of parliament, as they do the members of Congress here.
Yeah, everywhere.
So there may be, we may see the only news you get nowadays is on these platforms.
Yeah. Can I just ask you to do something for me? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
While you're talking, your microphone's rubbing on your shirt and it's causing interference.
My microphone's right here.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah.
Something's causing interference.
I'm not touching
some interference. I thought it was the black thing coming down on the.
Oh no, that is just part of my. I only hear out of one ear. I had a brain tumor the day Challenger blew up in '86. Oh. They severed my auditory nerve, so I don't have stereophonic hearing. I only hear out of one ear.
Right.
And so
sorry.
Anything I get, I will cut off one of the earpieces so I don't have it dangling below.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is this.
Oh no, that yes, yeah.
Ooh.
So you've got noise coming through that as well.
Oh, I put some tape around it so it doesn't.
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah, you're all right.
I'm going to put this around it for 1 second.
You can hear what you're saying. It's a bit of interference, as I just got notified.
The feds, they don't want him to talk.
That's what it is. I think he's up to no good.
Edit this part out.
You're always up to no good, so.
he does that, I'm just
Good call.
going to mute him while he's. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
So I wonder if what that guy was saying about everything coming out in 2025 has to do with disclosure.
Possibly.
Is that better?
Right. Is that better?
Yeah, is it better?
No,
I think the microphone you're using is the one in your earpiece. It's not the one in front of you.
Yeah. Because when you touch this, it goes.
Yeah, when you touch it, we're getting like static.
I don't know what just happened. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. Is it? Can you hear me?
It's quite muffled.
That's weird. I've never.
I think you're using the mic on the earpiece, and that's what's causing it.
Well, can you hold on around? I see if I can find another earpiece.
Yeah. I don't think that mic's plugged in. I know I say it's not plugged in, but I think it's set up for the earpiece mic.
Yeah, I think it's definitely coming from there.
Because I use headphones for this, but then I use speakers for when I'm on the computer. So I have to go to settings and swap and change, and it's so annoying.
Speaking of microphones, my nice shiny microphone. My daughter was sitting here playing on my laptop and decided to stick in here.
She put what in it?
She put clay.
I'm gonna do.
She said, "Oh, this will make a cool impression," and put clay all. It is stuck in here now.
Right. No sound at all now. Got nothing. Just in your. Sorry, everyone. In your settings on StreamYard, so you see the icons. You've got a settings one. If you click on that, then go up to audio, and then you get the mic drop-down box. If you open that and then choose what microphone you want to use. We got some sound then. A little bit. It's all right. Just should I said anything? Should I? Put that earpiece back in. Take the tape off. Just put that earpiece back in. We'll deal with it. It wasn't that bad, but a couple of people mentioned it.
Broke Jim.
Well, we had some sound then. No. Can you just if you put that earpiece back in and take the tape off it, I think that's the only thing that we're going to get. But while he does that, yeah, so I'm at the Cryptid Conference this weekend, meeting up with a few of our interviewees. Hopefully we'll get a few more. So I'm driving down there as early as I can Friday morning because it's half term and all the kids are off school. So people are going to be caravanning everywhere. Wow. And it's heading to the south coast. Tommy's going. Spoke to Tommy today. So I'm not sure who in the chat is going on. Nickname's going. Myself. It's the one in TA6, which is the postcode. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but we've got music.
I don't know where the hell that came from. Oh, but
Right, I'll let him turn it off because I'm not getting enough for copyright. That,
I don't know where the hell that came from. I didn't touch it.
Bob,
It turned on.
that's fine. That's fine. Perfect.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. All I'm going to say, anyone else want to complain about the sound quality? Tough. I'm not. No. You just deal
We got
with
a
it.
little musical intermission there.
Yeah.
I didn't touch anything. All of a sudden it came on. What the hell caused that to do it? So, all right.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I'm telling you,
Sorry.
they don't want you to talk.
Sorry for the disruption, everyone.
Yeah,
I
he
shall
interrupted
now-
everything.
I apologize too. So,
No, no,
Polly,
it's not your fault.
Polly is on too. Hi, Polly. You be safe. She's.
She's saying you're the best. There
Aw.
you go.
I can't imagine the stress it is. I mean, I love the people of Israel, and
Yeah.
she lives. I think she lives in Jerusalem, I believe, or close. Well, the country is not that big, so.
No, but she'll be the reason why we're 92 in the podcast ratings in Israel.
Oh, well, I mean,
So thank you, Polly.
I like who she is, and she's a
Yeah.
very, very brave lady. For one.
Yeah.
So, okay, where were we at? I lost track.
Well, I think we was finishing on what you were saying, but we do have a few questions for you, and we've got
Yes.
25 minutes to go.
Okay.
So should
So
we
we can
find
try
these?
to, yeah, get
I'm
Mhm.
ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready when you are.
So this is the first one from Nickname, one of the moderators. She's asking, what does Jim think of the Congress hearings, and is it progressing? Hard to know what is happening here in the UK, and welcome back.
What's happening in Congress is I think they're just spinning wheels. And they have so much information, artifacts, critters that they're keeping from the American public. Oh, it's for national security. Bullshit. The Russians have it. I'm sure the Chinese have recovered alien craft. The Russians have. Bob Lazar said that his sports model was recovered from an ancient site. In other words, it's thousands of years old. It was dug, I don't know if it was dug up or whatever it was, but he said that came from an ancient site. I was down in Belize last year and the year before last. I thought we had fallen into a possible opportunity to literally excavate a unexcavated Mayan pyramid. And we did a lot of, we went to various sites that, areas that, pyramids that had already been partially excavated. And all the docents they have there are all grad students working on either their PhD or their master's on archaeology. And literally every single one of them I spoke to during all the trips I've gone to Belize, and that program ended. We got blackballed for whatever reason. The guy running it, but the common thought now in archaeology is the pyramids used by the Aztecs, the Mayans, and the other ones. My mind's going blank. I'm upset about that the pyramids aren't 2,000 years old. They're now figuring that between 20,000 and 200,000 years old. Yeah. And the Mayans found them abandoned and repurposed them for their own use.
Do you know? So I was just going to say, do you know who a good person is to speak to about them? I don't know if you know of him. A guy called Steve Myers. He's been on the show a few times. I can send you his details if you want.
Please.
He's from the US, but he goes out, and his initial theory was that mainly the Great Pyramid is his thing, but his theory was that it was used as some sort of power grid, some sort of like.
Well, what about the structures
power
underneath?
station?
Power
a
plant.
power station. Yeah, power plant.
Yeah, I mean, what about they did the ground penetrating
The pillars.
radar, and it has pillars that go down 2,000 meters.
But have you seen it's got copper rings around the pillars? Have you seen that?
This is my favorite topic.
I mean, I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it, but
I only seen that this weekend just gone because it was bank holiday in the UK, so I was just flicking through my phone a lot. And some of the what they've picked up is it's got copper rings, copper wiring going round either at the base or at the top. I can't quite remember, but yeah. So, what is copper wiring and copper rings used for? Conduction. So it's some sort of power.
I mean,
power supply.
I mean, extraterrestrial or a land of giants. We're talking about 30, 40 foot tall humanoids. Those are the only ones that could lift and move some of these structures. Wait, one of the what do you call them? Spires. It looks like the Washington Monument. They have one in Vatican. Yeah,
the obelisk.
Yeah. Weighs 300 tons or 300. I mean, 300 or 400 tons.
Wow.
And it was partially done, and I think it broke in half. The photos I've seen. Yeah. How in the hell did they do that? I mean, well, there's so much that we don't know. There is speculation, and I think it's becoming more mainstream than not.
Yeah.
That there were multiple civilizations on planet Earth that were wiped out or they left.
Yeah.
One of the two. I mean, we're going back, it could be hundreds of thousands of years. It could be 1 million years.
Yeah.
What do you lean more towards? They left or they died off?
One of the two. What we're experiencing right now with the sun is supposed to be heading towards, it's been at a solar maximum for longer than they've ever seen it, as far as, through core samples and whatever. And it's blasting Earth on a regular basis. You lose your cell phone coverage, you'll get static, TVs won't work. I've had my radio go off in my car. And I don't know if it was because I was at Edwards Air Force Base. I was in a parking lot on the base, and I'm backing out. All of a sudden, my brakes are locked, all four wheels. I mean, I have 430 horsepower, and I couldn't move that thing. And I turned the engine off, turned it back on. I was able to back up a little bit, but the brakes were still locked. And I was ready to call AAA to come and pick me up, bring my car to a Chevy dealer. And I didn't know what to do. So as I'm waiting to be connected with someone from AAA in the Lancaster, Palmdale area, I'm finally talking to the woman, and I told her what I've done. I don't know what caused the wheels to lock up. But then I decided, okay, I'm going to try it one more time. So I started the car, put it in gear, and it worked. So I don't know what the hell caused that. But I've had my Sirius XM satellite radio turn off multiple times because they're getting hit with the corona mass ejection energy, and it's overwhelming the satellites. And it's very possible if a really big one hits, it could fry virtually 90% of the satellites that are in orbit today.
Yeah. Well, I was actually talking about solar flares last week. I had Maxim Farouk on, and I'd been watching somewhat on Discovery, and they were saying about the solar flares that are hitting Earth now have the capability to change human DNA construction. They didn't go into detail on how it would do it, but it's just stuck with me. It's like, wow, it just change you as what we are to something completely different.
That's wild. That's wild. I mean,
Yeah.
I was a docent at Kit Peak National Observatories outside of Tucson. They have 2 radio telescopes, a 12 meter and a 25 meter, and they have 22 optical telescopes. Everything from a you don't use inches in the UK, I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do anyway.
From a 12-inch primary mirror to a 13-foot primary mirror, and the one of the telescopes, it was the 2.1 meter telescope, was used by Caltech for looking for exoplanets, and they were operating remotely. They would shoot up a ultraviolet laser up in the sky, and then they had sensors to up at 18 miles. It had to be a certain diameter, the beam, and the computer would modify the flexible secondary mirror 1,200 times a second to give it the same resolution as if it was being viewed on the Hubble Space Telescope.
Wow.
But during the course of events, when I was there, we had a gentleman from the National Science Foundation had just returned from a worldwide conference on exoplanets. And the 2.1 meter operated by Caltech over the 5-year period identified 8,000 exoplanets in a very, very small part of our Milky Way. So we were having they don't allow drinking in that building. So, but we had a pop and pizza party, and the gentleman was up talking about it and said he just returned from every astronomer and telescope complex that's looking for exoplanets was in attendance. And based on proven mathematical formulas, they calculate for every star in the universe, there are 1.5 planets. And out of that incredible number, they calculate, again, using mathematical formulas that I've worked in the past, that there is in the neighborhood of 2 billion, that's with a B, 2 billion Earth-like planets orbiting a similar size brown dwarf star as our sun in the inhabitable zone with liquid water. And to quote Jodie Foster's character in the movie Contact, if we're the only ones, what a waste of space. And I mean, it's just something that we can't be alone. We can't be the only one. I mean, we're an insignificant galaxy in an insignificant corner of the then known universe, which is now doubled or tripled as age-wise since the James Webb Space Telescope decided that they were going to throw everything that everybody knew about the size of the universe and throw it out the window when one of their first images from deep space came back 1 billion years older than the known universe. And they identify that with a redshift. The farther out you go, the only color you end up seeing is red. But they're also looking at infrared and all the other things that we can't see or feel. Your microphone is off, Andy.
Muted.
Yeah, sorry. Do apologize.
Right.
Another quick one. Like I said, I was watching Discovery, and they're saying about all these different microbes and bacteria and some of the animals on Earth and that could be from outer space. But I really got into it, and I was like, Joe, you're listening and you're thinking, technically, we are all from outer space because we're on a giant rock floating around in space. So everything is from space anyway. So aren't we all alien of some sort?
All right, we're all made we're all made of stardust.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all have our
we all
origins
come from the same
from the
thing.
universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
because he was saying, like you said, like these different microbes and that, and there was like trying to work out why they got different DNA, and then they come to the conclusion that because they probably on a meteorite that's crashed into the earth and gone into the water, and it's managed to survive because of the oxygen and water levels and all the balance of everything. But isn't that just everything anyway? I
mean, if you get hit with enough gamma rays or whatever it is, it could affect your DNA structure. The various types of radiation, and there may be. I mean, one of the things when I left Kitt Peak, they were just finalizing the 4-meter Mayall telescope, and they have a sister companion down in Peru, or Chile, Chile, that they took off the secondary mirror on the top and put a sensor up there that had 5,000 adjustable optical lenses that all feed into a bank of spectrographs. Yeah. And the lockdowns slowed that down, but the goal was they were going to do a spectral analysis of 40 million galaxies over the next 5 years. And the one down in Chile was going to do the southern sky, 40 million galaxies, to determine if they can identify what is dark matter or dark energy. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't smell it, you can't measure it, but it affects the entire universe. And they're trying to figure that out. So I mean, every time they get they have a new invention of some sort, or a new way of looking into space to determine what's what. It throws everything out the window. I mean, everybody thought, oh, the universe is 13.4 billion years old. No, they're now saying it. I think they went to 43 billion years old, and I heard some rumblings that now it's up to 66 or 68 billion years old. Maybe there's no end to it. There has to be an end somewhere.
Possibly.
And we may be on the collar of a cat in a antique store. Seen
oh yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I mean that's
smells like it sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah, it sure does. Yeah.
We have 3 questions.
Sure.
And 8 minutes.
Rapid fire them.
Okay. Give it a shot. Right.
So Nickname wants to know, is Jim aware of any UFO crash or recovery in the Falklands?
No, but it doesn't surprise me if something crashed there. But no, I have not. Falklands, if you look at the map, they're not anywhere that they have any investigators or tourists going down there to see what's what.
No.
But the British Navy really wanted that island back for some reason. I don't think it was for the sheep or the goats. I may be wrong. I mean,
it could be. You never know. Yeah.
I don't know which Match.com does in the UK, and maybe that was just one of the. Never mind.
It's more of a an exotic island.
Yeah.
This is from Polly. Some days ago, I heard a statement where every single piece of craft recovered was man-made in order to create the alien myth. Because alien crafts are never material. What are your thoughts, Jim? Hug.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, because most of what we're seeing, most of what the world is seeing is man-made, at least in modern times. But there's you go look at some of the hieroglyphics in the pyramids. They show disc-shaped craft. They show helicopters. They show all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So just because we haven't been told doesn't mean that that's not a fact. I mean, but most everything, like I said earlier, 90 to 95% of what we see, is man-made.
Yeah.
Okay. You have one
Last
other.
one. Last one is also from Polly. did Jim already talk about the Colombian Yuga Ball? If not, what are your thoughts?
Well, those are the round spheres that they have found in Colombia. They're perfectly round,
Oh, yes.
and some of them weigh hundreds of tons. And who made them? How did they get there? And what purpose was it? I mean, there's some civilizations will use stones that have been cut as a currency, or shells, or other things of value, what they perceived as value. And for whatever reason, those big spheres have to be an indicator or an acknowledgement of some type of power.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense. Is it right? I don't know. We may know someday. I mean, there's some speculation going around, because so many people now have this incredible thing in their back pocket that takes good pictures, or at least decent pictures. Sort of to see a pixel moving around in the sky doesn't do anything. It could be a bug, or it could be someone's drone. The ones that you see, that you can see the structure of the craft, those are the ones that are fascinating.
Yes.
And we're not. I don't think the world's not going to believe in UFOs until something happens that they can't deny.
Yeah, we need that.
And that's going to be a landing on the outside of the Rose Garden, doing an internationally televised speech or talk by the president, regardless of whether what parties he's from. And my part of me says maybe it'll be like Mars Attacks. You see that movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to get pull out our Slim Whitman albums and play his songs so their heads blow up. So short of that, I mean, they could have one land in the middle of Dodger Stadium or Wembley Stadium. It can land right in the middle of during Wimbledon or whatever, and probably only then would everybody say, "Oh shit, they're real."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the thing, they want to see who is controlling them. It's not just about the craft. It's about who or what is, whether they're flying them manually or remotely. I think would make it more.
Well, the other thing that there aren't physical controls inside the craft. They are controlled by thought.
Yes.
I want to go to McDonald's, and or I want to go to the moon, or I want to go to Alpha Centauri, and then that's where you go, and you're there.
Yeah.
The way Bob, and again I'm referring to Bob Lazar. Let me get a piece of paper here. If this is the universe, we're here, and they want to go here. You focus on that point. You release the energy, and there's no time interval. You're there.
Yeah.
That doesn't get in. I mean, you can't get any more UFO-y than that.
No, it's
because
like shortest route. And
but the question I have to those that are have talked about that. Thanks, Joanne. Is if you leave our galaxy and you go to some other far off galaxy in a distant land, like they did on Star Trek, and you come back, as time gone by. And one other thing, Ben Rich, who was the president of the Lockheed Skunk Works, and he replaced Kelly Johnson. He told me directly. I spoke with Ben once a quarter for over 20 years, and just before he passed away, he said, "Jim, we have things out in the desert that's 50 years beyond what you can comprehend. And if you see movies like Star Wars or Star Trek, we've been there, done that, or decided it wasn't worth the effort." I said, "Ben, can you expand upon that?" And in Ben's, typical fashion, he said no. And then he had the nerve to die on me 10 days later. So I never had a chance to push him on there.
It's one way of getting out of it.
If anybody would know, it's him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have
right.
This has been fun. Are we almost near the end?
Yeah, at the end. We are over the finish line. I think we're doing a lap of honor right now.
I put a link up to Amazon for your books where people can find them. Where else can people find you?
That primarily there were aviation museums. And if they're into submarines, I'm out, my friends say, submarines, why the hell do you do submarines? I said, they're black, they're stealth, and they're deadly. So it meets all my criteria. So
awesome.
There you go.
But this has been fun.
Yes, thank you so much, Jim, for coming on again. Hopefully you'll come on again.
Absolutely.
Nearer to the end of 2025, and you'll be able to talk about the stuff you can't talk about.
I mean, it's not the media can't talk about it. It's they that talk about it. Someone said, "What are you hiding?" I said, "Nothing," because if I drop over dead as I walk out the room, it dies with me. Anything that I find out, I share with various people. I don't keep it. It doesn't do me any good to go to my grave with some earth-shattering information on alien craft, UFOs, the end of the world, or whatever. If I know about it and I believe it's authenticity, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, massive thank you again. Sorry about the mic issue. They're going to get reprimanded, those that spoke about it. They're not allowed to speak about it ever again.
No, don't worry. Just deal with it. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah. No. So we are going to be doing a podcast on Saturday. Nicole, are you still available? Michael Kopf is coming on. Haven't got the exact time. I need to work out the schedule from the conference that we're at and find a gap somewhere in between it. But Michael's in Texas, so he's 6 hours, you're 5 hours. So I will know by Friday evening what time it's going to be on Saturday.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, I'm retired, so I have a lot of time now. Saturday nights, I'm tied up. We have the Geezer Geeks are on, and it's I'm the senior geek, Geezer Geek.
Right, okay.
It's Robert Bauer, it's Terry Beckwith, it's DJ out of Scott Air Force Base, and a couple other guys, and it's just fun. Cool. It's fun, and it's we don't have it. We don't have any subject matter. We just start talking.
Yeah.
And Robert Bauer is more or less the conductor of the podcast. Sometimes you can't shut him up, but he's
that's on YouTube. People can find that.
Go into Robert Bauer Media, I think it is. And you should be able to. He has all sorts of stuff, but or punching Geezer Geeks on YouTube, it may come up.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, Robert Bauer featured. Okay, yeah, that's a good source. We will be on that part for sure, and it'll be Saturday night at I think either 8 o'clock my time or 9 o'clock my time. So
that'll be 8.
Because right now it's 2:08 p.m. my time.
Yeah,
that's the right one.
Pardon?
That's the right one. That's the right Robert Bauer Media.
Yep. That should be
it. Go.
He has 14 subscribers.
Oh, come on, guys, get sub in.
No, it's just Saturday night is the Geezer Geek show. Yeah.
Everybody go sub.
Yes. Come on.
And it's fun.
They're in bright green.
And we just have a fun time. And
cool.
It's my evening for socialization. So I just go there and we all have totally different backgrounds. So it makes it we're not we don't all think the same, and we don't all have the same passions, so it works out pretty good.
Oh, hold on, I got him. It's just on Robert Bauer, not on Robert Bauer Media. New link incoming.
Okay,
there we go.
Right.
Right. So while you put that up, so I'm going to be back. We're going to be back over the weekend. I'm going to be doing a couple on my own whilst traveling to and from the location. Saturday at some point, it'll be around about 7-8 p.m. UK time, which is 3, 4, 2, 3.
Let me know.
I don't know. I can't work out 5 hours. I can't subtract 5 from 8.
Yeah, that's all right. We forgive you.
Failing that, next Wednesday we've got Aid Morris. That's on the 4th. Then we've got Bob Brown, who's rescheduled, who is good friends with Paul Sinclair. So we'll be talking a lot about that. He does a podcast called, and I should know because I did all the things for it the other day. Out of Nowhere radio podcast.
All right.
And then the following week we have Louis Snooks. Then on the 25th we've got Laurie Reinfeldt, who was one of the military personnel at the Rendlesham UFO incident back in 1980. So she's going to be coming on and hopefully talking about that. And that is it, my people. So
right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone listening on podcasts. We have it.
And enjoyed it. And Nicole, it's a delight meeting you.
Yes, you too.
Thank you all so much. Thank you to the moderators, Jane, Nickname, and Og. So thank you, guys. And most of the streams that I'm going to be doing over the weekend where it's just me is just going to go straight out on YouTube. It's not going to be free stream yet. There'll be no notification. So if your phone pings, click on it. There you go. So it'll be from about 10 a.m. Friday morning up until about 2 a.m. following morning or thereabout. I don't know. Depends what time I fall
Make sure
asleep.
you hit the notification bell so that you get notified when Andy goes live.
Yes.
Sounds
And
good.
subscribe because it's free. So on that note, we are going to end this. Thank you again, Jim. Thank you, Nicole, for co-hosting. Thank you, everyone else. Thank you for your questions. Thank you, everyone listening on podcast. You can listen to us on Audible, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the others. So have a wonderful day or two, and I'll speak to you guys at some point on Friday. So take care. Goodbye.
Goodbye.